Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second, no,
I think this is the
third,
third episode.
the third official episode of the Thrility podcast. I'm back here today with Enzo Campoverde.
Hey y'all.
Yeah, and I'm your host, Frederick Brown. Enzo, you're gonna be leading the charge today. I
I
said I'm your
am.
host, but I lied.
Oh
This
no.
will be your first hosting episode.
Oh boy.
Okay, Enzo, can you tell us a little bit about what we're about to dive into?
So this is a double take review. It was originally gonna be a triple take, but we'll get to that some other time. So we're gonna do a double take on two things from the '90s: Rocco's Modern Life and Invader Zim.
Is Invader Zim from the 90s?
I mean, okay, fine. It's like
Part of the Nicktoons era,
yeah.
basically.
Let's just say that it's part of the Nicktoons era of things. So starting off with the first one, I think that came out was Rocco's, and
It came out on, let me see, about 2 Fridays ago.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
2 Fridays
We'll say
ago.
it's 2 Fridays ago. Just for it was about 2 weeks ago when
Wait,
we were recording.
specific date, August 9th.
August 9th, yeah, that sounds
Yes.
about right. So Rocco's came out August 9th. Static Cling. For one, I'm surprised that it's a Netflix original, not that it's like in the Nick Splat.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not on the Nickelodeon app that they have now specifically for Nicktoons.
Yes, but I think I think the reason why they released it on Netflix in particular was because of the broad audience. Not many people have Nick Splat or Verve, and Netflix is kind
Yeah.
of bigger. And so I think what you mentioned before we even watched it was that they're trying to sort of see what audiences respond and like if they want Rocco's or if they want Invader Zim.
Yeah, because I think it's also a good indication whether as to they want to bring these back as series or
Yeah.
as specials every season and such.
Yeah, and I think that release with Invader Zim. I'm not sure about Rocco's because Rocco's is like a different kind of show.
Yes.
It's not. Well, I guess we can get to the review right now. So Rocco's Modern Life, Static Cling.
Yes.
What did you think of it?
So, just some background here, real quick. I told you this before, but our audience doesn't know it. I actually didn't watch Rocco growing up. I knew of the character, and I knew a little bit about the actors behind the show, and because I've listened to the Nickelodeon podcast, I've watched that documentary. I know that voice, and I've done some research on Nickelodeon overall for whenever I was bored in middle school and high school. Just go on Wikipedia, read everything
Yeah.
Nickelodeon. Every kid kind of did that when they're bored. But so growing up, I didn't really know who Rocco was, didn't watch it, but I was interested in the character as an enthusiast, basically. So when I went to this, I was like, I knew Rocco was just like this average kind of wallaby everyday guy. He's a call center guy. That's kind of his job. So overall, I thought the movie was fine. It was smart. The movie's smart. That's the one word I could describe it. And it's also meta.
Yes,
Extremely meta.
it very is. So spoilers ahead. I think we should have probably said that, but hey, you know what?
It's a review.
It's a review. You should have known that.
Yeah.
But so spoilers. So in the movie, Rocco comes back from the '90s, back to where he was, and he basically can't adjust to the modern day, like the version of Starbucks, smartphones,
Yeah.
and he wants his old show back.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
It's really meta, like I said.
And so the entire special is about just Rocco trying to find.
A show that
sh-
he enjoyed from the 90s.
Yes.
He wants it to come back either as a special or the show to come back to be the same to
Yeah.
where things were. And it's where things get really meta because we're watching a show, a special from the 90s that people wanted, that not a lot of people were really asking for. There's a couple people here and there. Kind of like Rocco's situation, right?
Yeah, and so what was the show exactly that he wanted? It was called the Frog Heads, I think it was.
It
or-
was, yeah. It was some kind of puppet show.
It was a puppet show, just nonsense going on. But
Yeah.
Rocco wanted it back because it was no longer there, and then
Yeah.
he tried to find the creator of the show, which was
Was this Stephanie?
no,
Oh, Paul?
no.
What was the character's name? While Enzo's looking up the character's name, basically the character was Rocco's neighbor's son, who was a show who went out to follow his dreams when he was a kid, and became a popular show creator, and he created Rocco's favorite show. And so now Rocco's like, okay, so I can name drop, name here and there because he knows the parents of the creator. And so Rocco, Heifer, and Filbert and Spud go on a world tour to look for Enzo. Did you find the name yet?
Reading it right now. There's a lot of people that voice many characters in the show.
Well, look up Static Cling.
Yeah, I'm on Static Cling.
Static Cling characters.
So
basically, yeah. So they end up finding.
So the character that the creator of the show within that world is called Ralph.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people might be a little bit. They might not like this. They feel like it's pandering, but I think it went about smart.
Yeah, no, they did it because Rocco didn't even really react to the character.
And okay, so in the show Static Cling, or the special Static Cling, what happens is that the economy goes down, recession hits, and they try to bring it back a show from the 90s to fix all the problems. Because that's clearly what
it's
can
so
fix.
meta, right?
So,
you think you can do the same thing in this day and age, but that's not how it works.
Exactly. And so then Rocco tries to find Ralph Bighead, and they go on a world tour, like Freddie said.
Yeah.
And eventually they do find Ralph, but here's the twist. Ralph isn't Ralph anymore. Ralph is Rachel.
Yeah, that's the name I was trying to think
Yes,
of.
and so Ralph comes out as transgender, and they all don't really care. It's
Yeah,
like,
they don't. Rocco just really wants the show.
Yeah, and
That's what he's focused on, and that's kind of the trick here. That is what the show is trying to tell us. Don't get so caught up in the changes. Just enjoy the show.
Because later
right?
on, later on, what happens is that Ralph or Rachel introduces herself to
Her parents.
Yeah, her parents.
Yeah.
While the mom doesn't really care, or she's like, okay, it's the dad that's like,
Makes a
no,
big deal out of it,
I
yeah.
only have a son, and if you're not my son, then I have no child. And I thought that was really good. Considering it still gives me kind of like 90s kid show vibes.
Yeah, the art style and the animation is very reminiscent.
Not only that, but like the plot itself, because
it's simple.
No, because here's the thing. Like, I feel like a lot of days with a lot of children's shows, it's like, it's different. It doesn't try to sort of challenge us because, kids are kids and kids are kind of just, dumb and they'll just eat anything up. But I feel like that with Rocko's or these shows from Nickelodeon at least, that it sort of respects its viewers. And I think that initially, Ralph being transgender or Rachel now being coming out as Rachel, and I think that's honestly really smart, and it's like it shows respect for viewers. Because for one, yes, we're its viewers. We're adults now. We're in this day and age where transgender is sort of becoming the norm. But there's also I think some people like parents who enjoyed the show back then might show their kids, and I think that's kind of smart. Hey, this is sort of like what you might see on the street, and so it's honestly kind of just making things normal, sort of.
Yeah.
And I think that with Ed Bighead, I think that was the name of the father, not accepting it. And it wasn't like everyone's like, oh, trans is okay, guys. Like, of course, no. It is. But it also highlights one of the things that people who are transgender have a fear of, coming out to their parents and
being judged
and
and not being loved.
Yeah, and I think that was really
it was done well.
It was done well. I think it was done tastefully because I feel like some shows don't do that well.
Yeah,
but I think Rocko's did it in a tasteful way,
and they did it in a meta way by reminding us that don't get so caught up in the changes.
Because later on, Rachel Bighead does the show that Rocko was asking, because she loves her parents and she wants to save.
The town.
Oh,
his job too.
I think we've been saying the plot, but we really haven't. So, too long didn't watch. If y'all, basically, here's what happens: they come back from the 90s, things have changed. Rocko can't adjust. Ed Bighead does.
The economy relies on the animation industry, basically.
Does it?
Because that's where the dad works.
Okay, so the economy of the local town relies on the industry. Something goes wrong, and everything's going into recession.
Everything's blamed on Ed Bighead.
Because he actually did something wrong.
Yeah.
And then now the boss of the animation industry is like, hey, it's on you to bring it back, because if not, you're fired. You're fired.
Yeah.
And so that's why they went to
find Rachel.
To find Rachel. And so then Rachel basically makes the show again, but it's different than what Rocko wanted. He wanted his old show back. He didn't want this new
Yeah.
thing. And then Rocco's like, what is this? I don't want this. I want my old show back. But then the Winds of Change, which is like something that's been kind of recurring,
Yeah.
comes back and says, no, you have to accept it. And then Rocco's just like, you know what? Yeah, okay. And that's how it ends.
Yeah, it's so meta. It's basically telling you the same thing. Like, yeah, you can have your show, but at the same time expect changes because the creators are gonna make changes regardless of whether they want to or not as well, because they also grew up and their ideas and perspective change over time.
And change is good. We
Yeah.
shouldn't shun changes. You
Yeah,
know?
unless it's harming you, then stop that change.
Or maybe not.
We don't know what's. But anyways, quick transition now. Speaking of changes, Invader Zim.
Okay. Well, first off, before we change,
Yeah.
what would you give Rocko's Modern Life? On a score
Rocko
from
5. We need a scoring system, but we'll think of that later. But for now,
Did
what
you
was it
enjoy?
saying?
Well, did you enjoy it overall? Like overall,
Yes, I enjoyed Rocko. It actually made me want to watch the old show. I actually want to rewatch the movie because I feel like there was some certain dialogue that I kind of missed out on. I was a little bit distracted watching the film, but I definitely would give this special, a watch. Um, it's very 90s, very meta, and also very relatable to this day and age. So I would highly recommend Rocko.
I would say is if you enjoyed Rocko's Modern, because it's not your typical haha very funny show.
It's a smart,
It's
ironic.
it's
kinda
more of a
funny.
smart, witty kind of show, I would say. And if you enjoyed Rocko from the '90s, and I think then you would enjoy Static
Yeah.
Cling. Because I'll admit that I think that especially in this day and age, it's not gonna be funny for some people.
Yeah.
But if you enjoyed Rocko in the '90s, I would give the show a watch.
Yes.
Or this special.
Yeah.
Now, like you said,
Speaking of
changes.
changes, yeah.
One of the things I'm actually a little bit more excited of is Invader Zim Enter the Florpus. That came out I think a week later.
Yeah.
That
That
came-
was on the 16th, I believe, of August. Yeah, August 16th.
Yes. Now, Enter the Florpus, that was exactly like Invader Zim
Yeah,
was.
the opening was hilarious.
Okay, so spoiler alert.
The art style in this film, I would say that the show had better art style at its time. This special, I felt like the art style. I feel like because when Invader Zim came out as a show, it was very advanced. It was very expensive because they used a lot of 3D CGI.
Sort of, yeah.
And so in this
opening.
one, you can tell obviously they put money into it, but it wasn't like groundbreaking because we're so used to
Yeah.
seeing this type of animation now. But still, it was very clean.
It
was-
looked like it looked like how I remembered it.
Yeah.
Not like as in it aged horribly. More
Yeah.
like when I think of Invader Zim and how I watched it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I have this nostalgia filter on
Yeah.
it, and when I'm watching it now, it still looks like the same, if not beautiful, with some of its
Yeah.
art, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
So a little bit of the plot before we even go into it. So I think it basically goes on that Dib has been watching Zim on these cameras, trying
Yeah.
to see his next move, and he hasn't for a very, very long time. Obviously, it's saying that it's been sort of nothing's been going on, and then suddenly Zim comes back, but Dib can't fight him back because he's so weak after
Yeah,
just
he's been
observing.
sitting in a chair.
Yes, he became a chair.
Yeah.
And then Zim tries to contact the Tallest, which are the leaders of the
The Urkin Empire.
Urkin Empire, finds out that Earth isn't on the path, and then realizes that the Tallest just made a mistake. They
never meant for Zim to actually
survive.
conquer anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then Zim's plan is to basically put Earth on the track on where the Tallest are going and destroying planets, because that's clearly what went wrong.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's the same comedic stuff that goes on. Minnie Moose is still here. So
He has more screen time than ever now.
Yes.
He's a plot point in this movie.
And then
I feel
Dib.
like Gurr was not really in this movie as much as people hoped. It's basically a Zim and Dib movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's honestly the thing. And then
But
also,
Gurr is a fan favorite.
I think we have a new fan favorite because what Zim does is, in order to trap Dib and Gaz, we have Dr. Membrane, but now we have a new character, Clembrain, or whatever they refer to
The
him as.
clone membrane, basically.
And I loved him a lot in this movie. And I think he was honestly going to become. If they're going to make a new series, I think he's going to be a new character.
And if he's not, he'll probably show up in the comic books.
Yes, there are
Because
comic
the
books.
Invader Zim comics, we highly recommend them. It has Jonan Vasquez's blessing, the creator of the show. And Jonan's a smart guy, you know. He kept the comics. He was originally a comics guy. He didn't think it would be an animation, actually. A little background on Jonan. He was a comic book artist. Tried out Nickelodeon. He didn't think much of it, and he actually fell in love with character Zim. Zim, he said, is a character, kind of like what the show is supposed to embody: craziness, yelling, just nonsense. And Zim embodies all those elements that the show is based on. And I saw a little interview where he said that the reason why Zim was hiding in the toilet, waiting for Dib as part of his phase 1 plan, was because that's what he felt like what happened to Invader Zim as a show.
He went to the toilet.
Basically, it was put in the toilet. So he took it literally when he wrote Zim being in the toilet. You know, so that was really funny when I found out. I was like, I thought it was funny, but I didn't think they did it on purpose. Like, I thought they were just like, oh, it'll be funny.
Because it's something that Zim would do.
Yeah. So like I said, he likes the whole like embodiment. The show is Zim, and Zim is the show. And he took that literally when he's like, yeah, the show went to the toilet. Zim went to the toilet and hid there for a long time until he was ready to come out. Kind of like the show.
So, you know, both Nick shows are done very meta. Like,
yeah.
In fact, I think we didn't mention this, but both of these, so unlike Cartoon Network reboots, these shows have both creators and people who worked on the show originally working on these specials. And I think that's a good way to do a reboot.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to do a reboot without the people that actually made the show to begin with?
Nickelodeon's very good at taking care of their nostalgic property. They understand that these properties are brands and they have a fan base, and that, you know, they can keep the brand fresh if they, you know, take good care of it. Every couple years, bring it back, bring some life into it, throw some comics, TV special, movie here and there. But like, they understand that there's more to these shows. They can't just let it die out.
They also understand that fans want to enjoy it, and the fans are what drives it, and so they're gonna obviously
they want the spirit of what they saw originally.
Yeah, and I think
very much like Rocko.
Yes, and that's what I really like about Nickelodeon with how they dealt with these two specials.
Yeah,
but
so Invader Zim, let's kind of like go back to where we were. Invader Zim.
Yeah, and so now with Invader Zim, it's honestly sort of just like with how Rocko was, where it felt like an episode, but it felt like one of those specials, honestly.
Yeah, it's a long episode, but it was a good episode.
Like, it felt like a 2-part episode that I was, like, when I was a kid, I would stay up and watch, and it's like, oh, man, I love it, and like, I wonder what they're going to do next, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, they obviously threw some callbacks to the show.
Minnie Moose is more prevalent in this one, so if you wanted more Minnie Moose...
And Membrane.
Yeah, actually...
we didn't really get to see the dad much in the show.
Yeah, and... that's something also, like, the dad was more of a plot point, sort of, with Dib trying to seek his approval.
Yeah.
Gaz was...
Justin Roiland. I did not expect him to make a cameo in this
Yes,
movie.
Justin Roiland is in the movie, and as a fucking robot, as also, like... I think he was also voiced one of the fans during Peace Day.
Probably.
Like, the one that Membrane was, like, scientifically not possible, that you could be more excited for Peace Day. But... honestly, I think that with Invader Zim, when it comes to animation, I think for me at least, it's a yay.
Yeah, animation's a good story. It's okay. It works.
I think that the story wise, it's perfect.
It's
I think
clever.
When it comes to, because, like, you know, obviously you can't compare Invader Zim to another show.
Yeah,
like
it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be funny and dark, but it's not supposed to be like smart.
If it has that when it comes to the taste of what Invader Zim is, it's exactly what you would expect it to be, if not more. I think because it has, I think, more liberty to do what it wants. It's a special. They're just testing out the waters. So I think honestly, when it comes to just the humor, plot. It's definitely got 2 thumbs up for me. I'm gonna say.
I would have to agree with you. I would definitely watch the movie again. It's enjoyable. We watched it with somebody who's never seen the show, and she very much enjoyed it, the movie, to the point that she now wants to watch the show. she understands now why we talk about the show.
Yes, and while
Yeah.
we quote it
Yeah,
occasionally.
it's really well done film. Hoping when the series comes back.
Is it coming back? Because you said it, and I thought that was what the whole entire Into the Florpus thing was. It was just like Zimka's
I
coming
think
back.
Nickelodeon wants to kind of revitalize their nostalgic, because I know they're doing that with Rugrats, and they're doing that. Obviously, they just did that with Dora. I mean, Dora's never gone.
Dora's now just a movie.
Yeah. So
The Nick universe.
and then from what I heard, Blue's Clues is also trying to make a big splash again. Not as a movie, but like the show.
Hey Arnold came.
Hey Arnold
but I think
came
that was
back
I think it was a
last
finale.
year.
That was a finale.
Another
though.
movie, yeah. But yeah, Nicktoons, go watch it on Nicksplat. It's like what, $7 a month, or just get for $10 a month, you get like 10 services.
We're not sponsored by any of these.
Yeah, we're not, but I think they're cool. So
We shouldn't be name dropping these companies until they give us money. So don't whatever you
don't
do.
give them your money until they give us money.
Yeah, just don't do that. I'm just don't.
We're just kidding. Watch wherever you want.
No, please, just give us money first.
Stop. But
Please.
yeah, no. I would highly recommend Zim as well. If you had to choose one,
Okay, I already know what I'm gonna choose.
which one would you choose, Rocco or Zim? And give me one big fat reason why.
Oh, if I had to choose one to come back,
One to watch again.
definitely hands down Invader Zim.
Invader Zim.
Rocco, like I said, it's entertaining, but it's not.
It's not like it doesn't get a reaction really out of it.
Yeah, it's more like, oh, that's pretty clever of them. Invader Zim, I was actually laughing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it way more than I did with Rocco. Not saying that Rocco was bad, just that Rocco just is a different kind of show.
Yeah.
And Invader Zim is a different kind of show.
Yeah.
They're both good, but Invader Zim, I definitely remember that when I was a kid watching the TV series. And I think honestly, if I had to choose one, do you just come back? I would say
Zim.
Invader Zim.
Okay.
I think that the show back then was far ahead, and if it came out right now, it's perfect timing. Because if you look back at its old episodes, it's weird, it's crazy,
It's dark.
and it's the perfect time. It's the perfect time. Nickelodeon.
Kids are weird now.
Kids are weird now, and I think kids will enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
And I think if Nickelodeon really wanted to like take over the share of what they had
Yeah.
back in the day, they would bring back at least Invader Zim.
Yeah.
Because it's now's the time. It's special, is great. It's
Yeah.
clever. Also, it's funny. I laughed at it. Clem Brain's probably one of my
Yeah.
new favorite characters. Pudding, I love Invader Zim,
Yeah.
and I think honestly, I hope it comes back.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would go with Invader Zim for this one. They win this round. Whatever Nickelodeon's got left on their calendar in terms of movies, SpongeBob, the third movie in May of next year. But right now we're not talking about SpongeBob right now. We're talking about Zim and Rocco. I'd go with Zim just because, like you said, it's funny. It's also clever, like Rocco. And the characters were just like Richard Horvitz as Zim. It's like that man's voice. That's his natural voice, and that's the crazy thing.
Yeah,
His voice is that naturally high. So applaud to that man for still screaming at the top of his lungs as Zim. That's hard work right there.
Yeah, and I honestly really do appreciate the work that went into both of these specials, and I really just would like for people to watch them, but I hope they would enjoy them.
Yeah.
And I really do want to see these shows come back.
Yeah.
So
just enjoy the show special. Go on Netflix if you have Netflix. If not, go to your friend's house that has Netflix.
or just pirate. No, wait, don't do that.
Don't do that. We don't condone pirating unless you're Straw Hat Pirates. If you get the reference.
Comment Straw Hat Pirates if you watched to this point of the episode.
Yeah, and also pick whichever special you like better, and which one you'd like to come back as a series.
Yeah, and you know what? It doesn't even have to be Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
It could be something from like.
Yeah, anything nostalgic from your past.
In fact, even if they brought it back and did it horribly, I'm looking at you, Powerpuff Girls. If you wanted to be brought back right, then hey, just write it. Just mail it to us, or just send it. But you know what? I think that's about it. I think we're gonna wrap this episode up. I have no idea how long it's been, but hey, you know what? I'm your new host, Enzo, and hopefully we'll have more episodes or things to review. Comment on what you want us to review as well, and I think that's about the end of it. Freddie,
Yeah.
where can people follow you on?
You guys can follow me on socials at Fredduccini147. That's Fredduccini 147. Yeah,
All
I'm on
right.
Instagram, Twitter. Hit me up, follow.
And where can fans just follow our company?
For now, you can follow us at Thrillity Media. And if you have any questions, email us at thrillitymedia@gmail.com. We might be changing the name soon. Who knows?
We're probably going to be changing the
Yeah.
name soon.
So just keep an eye out, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right.
Bye
Thanks for
bye.
watching.